What's up, everybody? Welcome to my channel. This is where I share everything I've learned and experienced in business, fitness, and lifestyle. Today I'm talking about everything nutrition that I've done in training for my full Ironman over the last 5 months, and everything I'm fine-tuning and dialing in over the next 2 weeks prior to racing in Cozumel, Mexico. So we're officially 12 days out from Cozumel, Mexico, and we're super excited. We just got back from Panama City Beach, and one of our guys got to race there and absolutely crushed it. His first full Ironman, running an 11-hour, 59-minute race, and he said his nutrition was on point. The goal with having your nutrition dialed in for the race is so that you don't run into any unexpected hiccups along the way. Any stops, any issues is going to add time to your race, and the goal is to not have to stop to use the bathroom any more than expected, definitely not to cramp or run out of energy, and just generally not to have to deal with any nausea or unexpected pain or discomfort while you're focusing on just finishing a 140-mile race. Over the next 12 days, I won't be changing a whole lot about my nutrition. I'm very dialed in, I'm getting my calories in, and I really know what I'm going to do on the course. I know what's going to be on the course in my race, and I got to see what was going to be on the course just generally in all Ironman races while we were in Panama City. With this video, I just wanted to share my general calories, macros, nutrients, and all the things I've been doing over the last 5 months and playing with specific to my Ironman. Now, I'll share some general nutrition guidelines, and it's different for everybody. It's also very different from sport to sport. So really I'm focused again on the things that I've done that have worked for me, and then general guidelines, not only for the Ironman, but for any athlete or anybody just looking to get into better shape. That being said, the biggest difference that I'd like to share between an Ironman or an endurance race of any type versus any other sport is the carbohydrate intake. Now, you're burning far more carbs, you're utilizing far more carbs when you're doing an endurance race or something that's aerobic versus something like powerlifting, bodybuilding, CrossFit, or something that's very anaerobic. Especially when it comes to sugar, you're gonna wanna keep that lower, but specific to our Ironman, our carbs have been very high. The most important part for this video, and this goes for anybody, whether you're training as an athlete, sitting at a desk all day, or whether you're trying to increase your fitness, is water. The most important part is water. When you're not getting enough water, you're not breaking things down well, you don't have clear thought processes, your body just can't operate the way that it needs to. The recommendation for athletes is 1 ounce of water per pound of body weight. That could be anywhere from 1 gallon to 2 gallons a day or more. And for the general population, I always recommend getting 1 gallon of water a day. The gallon of water a day is very general, but you'll see an increase in your mood, in your energy, in your skin, in your general health and well-being, and specific to the Ironman, you'll actually complete your race. So having enough water has been paramount. Without enough water, I've had major heat exhaustion, I've cramped, I haven't recovered as well. And the big thing is that we worked out. Doing a sweat test is burning up to 1 liter of water per hour on the bike and during the run. So for me, I've worked on not only carrying enough water with me, but making sure that I stop before I get to the point where my heart rate is too high or I start to get heat exhaustion, which especially this summer happened a couple times. It's when my body was getting chills. I started to see stars, like I was way overheated, and it's super dangerous. But again, the most important part of this video is to get enough water. For me, that worked out to at least 1 liter per hour while sweating and working out, and at least 1 gallon a day outside of training. Going back to what I said previously, the biggest difference between endurance races or endurance training and something more anaerobic is the high percentage of carbs. Now for me, I've set around, with proteins, carbs, and fats, 35%, 59%, and 6% roughly on average, protein, carbs, and fats respectively. Those could range from 5 to 10% differences depending on the days that I'm training, and my protein's much higher than a lot of recommended endurance diets because I've still been lifting weights. While maintaining these macros and trying my best to average a 4,000 calorie a day diet, I've not only been able to train consistently, but without major injury and without losing a whole lot of lean mass. My approach to my diet has been, how can I most efficiently make enough food and enough good food to get my things done quickly and maintain the same cooking and level of health for an extended period of time. For most people, it's kind of intimidating if you haven't cooked before or if you don't enjoy cooking, and the level of effort that it takes to actually make a healthy meal. But my recommendation is to start simple, start with some things that you really enjoy and make it consistent. That being said, I do a lot of really consistent things that just don't taste that great, and that's fine with me because it is consistent and it's efficient. And that means I'm doing a lot of ground beef, a lot of bacon, a lot of eggs. They're a superfood, they're amazing, and it's a really easy go-to when you're traveling. They're very quick, they're easy, and they're always good. Pretty consistently, my breakfast consists of a few eggs, a bowl of oatmeal with either some yogurt or blueberries, and maybe a banana. The goal is to have that food and be used to it before race day. So again, a normal breakfast consists of oats or cereal of some sort, blueberries, yogurt, and eggs. Don't forget that one of the most important things in the morning is drinking water as soon as you get up, and of course, having a cup or two of our Get Shit Done coffee from Never Rest. I also do that every morning. I start my morning with at least 20 ounces of water, 40 if I can get it down quick enough, and my cup of coffee. For my lunches, I typically cook as much as I can for the week at one time, and that usually consists of ground beef, which I can just throw in a skillet, chop up, ground, and brown, and ground turkey. And it works exactly the same way. It's super simple. I cook everything in either coconut oil or a whole grass-fed butter, and it's a great go-to with sweet potatoes, with veggies, with broccoli, of course with rice, and really that's what my week looks like. There's not a whole lot to it. It's super consistent. It's super easy to throw into a container and grab whether I'm home working from the office here or on the road somewhere else. And as long as you have access to a microwave, you're good to go. Finally, my dinner and snacks. So dinner usually is cooked fresh, and a lot of times that's chicken and rice, or maybe a steak, or maybe some fish, and a lot of veggies. Even though I'm eating a lot of veggies, it's more just so that I'm constantly satiated. I'm not looking for snacks all the time, and I'm still getting something healthy. So cucumbers, bell peppers, celery. Sometimes I'll put together a salad. And then even though I'm doing all of that, I'm really getting my nutrients and vitamins from Athletic Greens. Now, Athletic Greens does not sponsor me, unfortunately, but they are truly the best thing on the market that I've found. I even looked at creating my own superfood, and I just couldn't find something that I could put together that would compete with Athletic Greens. If I'm extra hungry from a workout or I need more calories for a day, I'll be generally snacking on something like nuts or trail mix, bananas, lots of fruit because they're natural sugars. I love blueberries, strawberries, bananas, sometimes mangoes, and I do a lot of those frozen because they just last longer. You can buy a pound of frozen blueberries for a decent cost, organic blueberries, and throw them into shakes, throw them into yogurt, throw them into cereal, or just eat them whole. In addition to that, I'll do some beef jerky once in a while. I'll do cereal, or I'll do something like take up some chopped celery, spread some peanut butter on there, and that'll be my snack. If I'm snacking, I'm typically looking to round out the calories for the day, or I'm recovering from a long, hard workout. The biggest goal in snacking is to avoid the sugar, especially if you're not doing an endurance race. And even if you are, you don't want to risk something like insulin sensitivity. The biggest thing for me is to try to keep it convenient, just like lunches. Make sure that it's all prepared beforehand, to limit sugar, and to keep it as healthy as possible. The goal behind all of this, not only just to be generally healthy, but specific to the Ironman, is to make sure that we've got enough energy to get through the whole race. We've been experimenting over the last 5 to 6 months to make sure that we're not crashing during our workouts. We want to make sure that we're not cramping. We want to make sure that we've got plenty of glycogen storage when we start our long brick workouts or our long triathlons, and to make sure that we just generally feel good during the race. During the race itself, we've worked a lot on what we're going to do on the bike. Now, when I've done my breakfast, that's going to be consistent for race day. When I'm getting into the water, I'll probably do something quick like a goo, which is a little packet of sugary gel, basically. If you're a runner or endurance athlete, I'm sure you know what it is. And if you're not, but looking to be an endurance athlete, you'll find out very soon. It's a 112-mile bike ride for any full distance Ironman. And everybody's nutrition is going to be different. But what's helped consistently for me has been bananas, RX bars, Epic beef jerky, and Huma goo packets, which again is just the Huma brand of those energy gels or packs of energy goo. In terms of your race performance, this is the most important part, because all of the things that you can do outside of racing, you can control and adjust throughout the day most likely. But once you're on the bike, you want to try not to stop. You don't want to have any issues. You want to be as smooth as possible. So my biggest advice with nutrition during a triathlon, if this is one of your first, is experiment with everything as quickly as possible. Once you find something that works for you, just stick with it. If somebody says something might be better, but you're getting close to your race, stick with what you know. There's a lot of recommendation on how many calories per hour you should be consuming, and I've leveled out to about 300 calories per hour. And that's switching back and forth from solids to goos to liquids. We've been using a Scratch Super Fuel, which has cluster dextrin in it. It's just a very quickly absorbing carbohydrate, and it's been great. So a bottle full of that is several hundred calories. I'll typically have a bottle of the cluster dextrin Super Fuel, a bottle with electrolytes in it like Element or Liquid IV, a bottle of water, and then one more bottle of electrolytes and sugar, typically Gatorade, because that's what they're serving on the course. Now the last part of your Ironman, of course, is the run. So at some point you'll be transitioning out, you want to grab your water, and you're going to have to make a decision on how your stomach feels in terms of, can you eat more solid foods or should you stick to gels? I personally prefer the gels and won't even take any solid foods with me on the run. During the run, you're going to want to take your calories down a little bit, and again, just find what works for you. So I'm taking between 200 and 250 calories on the run, and that's all from gels or what's on the course. The one thing I haven't talked about, which is very important for me, is caffeine. Now, I'm very caffeine insensitive. I've got a couple cups of coffee a day and more if I haven't slept or I'm working out. Now, a lot of you, if this is your first, you might be coming from something like a powerlifting background. You're probably going to be a little bit insensitive to caffeine, meaning you're going to be just used to more. One thing that our guy in Panama City Beach said is that he hit a wall for the first time, and he realized, despite never having hit it before, that there had to be a way out of it. There was everything he needed on the course, and then he also hadn't had any caffeine. He dropped the bottle that had his noon caffeine tablets on the course and didn't have any caffeine almost all the way through the bike, and hadn't gotten any his first 13 miles of his run. Caffeine, like everything else, is something you have to experiment with. And for me, halfway through a ride, I'll have about 60 milligrams. And then halfway through a run, I'll do 30 to 40 milligrams. Now, the biggest thing with caffeine is to be careful with your stomach, because especially if you're drinking coffee, which nobody recommends on the course, it's going to mess up your stomach. Caffeine is going to raise your heart rate. It could possibly dehydrate you more, but it also could give you the energy you need to continue kicking ass on the course. So guys, that's all I have for you today. It's a general overview of not only my nutrition leading up to the race, but what I'm planning to do during the race. I hope that if it's your first triathlon or Ironman event, that you got something out of this. If you have any suggestions, if you have any questions, if you have any tips, please drop them below. Happy to answer any questions, and of course, happy to get any tips that might improve my experience during my Ironman as well. If you enjoyed this video, like it, share it, and subscribe, because there's a lot more coming. And then if you want to follow me and what I'm doing, feel free to follow me at Devin Laughlin or at Never Rest, where I'm doing most of my work. Thank you guys. No matter what you're fighting for, keep battling. Never rest.